Hey there, my friends. This is David Wood, Messiah ben David, King of Israel, and I'm here to discuss an idea with you that I've had. And this is all about how to do socialism right. And when I say socialism, I'm not referring to the way that people do socialism. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm going to take my shoes off so I can actually the earth here. I always do that when I do my videos. Get an anchor for me. So, let me tell you a quick story on my experience with socialism. I grew up in a Republican family, and my dad's Republican, and my mom is probably more open. And Republicans are all about prosperity and free trade and strong military, and the Democrats are all about socialism. They're a little too controlling, in my opinion. But that's because nobody's listening. The other people aren't listening to them, And so, I grew up like kind of watching these things and having these ideas. Now, the first thing I thought about socialism when I learned about it is I thought that's the stupidest thing ever. Let people do what they want, right? Let people do what they want. And when I looked at things that way, right, I wasn't thinking about other things. I wasn't thinking about the other side. Like, for example, the starving kids out there, starving women out there and stuff like that. I wasn't thinking about that. And I was thinking, well, they could just give with their own money and stuff like that. And in old America, when America was free, people took care of the people in their community. Actually, this is what America used to do. If somebody was sick in town or something like that, they'd take them into the house. Get them off the streets, help them rebuild their life, help them start a new business. Americans were very, 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 very giving before. And I'm telling you, we are much less giving now. Way less. That's because the love of the nations is waxed cold. Right? So there's another side of the story, though, and this is and this is what I came to discover when I went through my enlightenment. What happened was my duality collapsed into oneness. It began the process of collapsing into oneness, and that's an ongoing process. And I've had to learn a whole lot along the way about that process and about how to handle it and about how to not be angry and blow up at people. And so I had to learn that, because I was so mad. And then I started thinking about the way of peace and forgiveness, right? Reality is the duality, right, is the two options. So you have the Republican side and then you have the Democrats. What's this a manifestation of? This is actually a manifestation of duality. This is what this is, right? And so how do we get the Republicans doing what the Democrats want, the Democrats doing what the Republicans want? We do it in a way where when we give people what they want, there's freedom of choice in it. We don't need to force our opinions on people who do not want to do things out of the goodness of their heart. It's actually not good for society to do this. It's backwards thinking. It's ancient old thinking. We're not living in the year zero anymore. This is ancient old thinking. We don't need to do things this way. What we could do is we could say, for example, okay, let's take the concept of socialism. What's the good in it? Well, the good in it is in the idea of socialism, everybody would have food and everybody would have an income, right? And everybody would have health care and everybody would have access to help. That's the good in socialism. In practice, there's all sorts of problems in the way that it's been done in the past. And those problems come because it's being forced on people. That's actually why they're there. They're there because God doesn't like force. God doesn't like it when everybody teams up and the majority starts screaming and yelling, and then they want something that is their own selfish nature and their own self-interest or whatever, right? And then they're not doing things in a way that encompasses, other people, right? So in any case, I got distracted there. I can't remember what I was talking about. Let me drink some water. All right. So in any case, all right, how do we do it right? Well, I'll tell you, true Zionism, I'm talking the real Zion, is feminine, okay, in nature. True Zionism. I'm not talking about the Zionism that people perceive as Zionism. I'm talking about the true Zion. It's feminine, okay, and it is voluntarily doing the law of consecration, in whole or in part. But really, it should be in whole. And voluntary consecration is what you do is you give all your assets to Zion, right? Zion then manages your assets, buys your food, make sure you have water, make sure your kids are fed, and make sure you live a prosperous life that's equal to the life that you lived before if it's manageable with the money. And if it's not, Zion will get you a better, cheaper house, for example, right? Or they'll help you make money from the house that you're in right now, right? And then you don't have to do anything to manage your life. Zion does it for you. So Zionism, or Zion in English, Sion, is socialism. However, this is in the New Testament. People gave all their assets, and then the church managed them for them. But it was voluntary. They didn't force that on the whole church. Those who desired to participate in it, they are the ones that participated in it. And those who did not desire to participate in it didn't participate in it. Right? It's in the book of Acts, actually. So the Zionism allows for the management of a resource-based economy, like the movie Zeitgeist 3. But it's voluntary. This is the problem that people have. It's voluntary, and it also is prosperity-based, meaning the assets consecrated to Zion will be managed and taken care of very well by the community. So, how do you do that? Well, you got these leaders, that are out there, the Democrat leaders, and they're going around predominantly, and they're trying to convince everybody that we should just force socialism on everyone. It's not going to work. What should we do? We should let the Democrats have what they want. We should let the Republicans have what they want. Those who want to participate in socialism would be voluntary. And it would compete against what everybody else is doing. And then we build Zion. And I'll tell you, the Zion societies will be the most futuristic and prosperous societies on the face of the whole earth. And people will be able to go in for, say, 6 months and then withdraw if they want. And then after that time, they can't withdraw, or for a longer period of time. And then eventually 10 years or something like that, it's permanent or something like that. People will be able to do all sorts of stuff. And here's the thing. Do you really want a life that is forced? No, you don't. You want a life that is according to the desires and the peace and the life in your heart. Right? So this is true Zionism. The true version. Feminine in nature. And we could do something like that, for example, with Zion, where we test it very small. And eventually the resources would be predominantly managed by technology. We wouldn't even need to decide anything. It would be unnecessary. How would that free your consciousness and your creative energy to do other things in your life? Now, you'd still want to pay attention and keep score. And you'd prosper more if you made more money still. This is the way that Zion would work, because you'd be rewarded more for your work. But the resources would be managed by the community with checks and balances, not with like popular vote or anything like that. A decentralized management system in the community. So this is after we build the technology system to remanage America. We then build Zion, which is managed by a ministry. It's not managed by the government. Because the government does not do a good job with socialism. History has proven that the government does not do a good job with socialism. It's the wrong thing for the government to do. The government should just give people freedom, and socialism should be voluntary, and people should choose it, and it should start small, test it out, make sure it works, be built in technology, and manage the resources based on a resource-based economy. And if we do that, those cities, the children shall not hunger, nor shall the women thirst. However, if a man doesn't work, he's not going to eat. He needs to work. Everybody needs to work. Men need to work. Women, no. We hope they work. And they get to work if they want, but we make sure they're provided for if they can't. Women and children, because that's the future of society. Women are far more important to the future of society than men are, because men can have children with lots of women. Women can only have children with one man at a time. Right? Hopefully it's just one man her whole life. Therefore, women are more important to society, to the future of society, than men are. From competition, from natural selection, from the way that it is. They're more important. I love women. I'm going to celebrate women on the rooftops and the housetops now. You know what I mean? And we celebrate men too. They got to work for it though. The women, we're just going to celebrate them. Just how they are, and love them. And take care of them in society. Here's the deal. This way of doing things, is going to make sure that the future's protected. Freedom. Then you let the science societies, which would be more managed and checked by the Kingdom of America, not the nation. The nation should provide freedom. The kingdom can provide all sorts of things. It is not limited to this. And that should be a contract with Zion or Costa Rica. This is the true nature and the true order of science. The law of consecration, a resource-based economy that is volunteer, that still allows for the creation of wealth and the creation of prosperity, because you're giving more value to the community than other people are. Therefore, you're more prosperous. And therefore, you have more resources available to you personally because you deserve it. Doesn't that sound different than socialism, the way that the United States does socialism? Anyways, I hope that this helped you.